elections. Hey, good evening.
Hello.
Maybe a little bit crooked. I'm just looking at the camera, but maybe
It might be.
I don't know.
That's all right. It is voting. It is voting day.
I just realized my reading glasses are like grandpa glasses.
Yeah, it is.
Hey, it's Tips from the Bar. We're at Miss Baby Meets tonight, and we are all caught up in the excitement of the election.
It's I don't know. It's excitement, nervousness. I don't know.
Confusion.
Confusion.
Yeah,
it's pretty interesting. I'm trying to find a place on my phone right now to try to get results. I'm on WTHR.com.
So we're in downtown Valparaiso. We're at Miss Baby Meets. We're right across from the courthouse, and over the course of the next several hours, as it turns out, people will be walking into the courthouse with suitcases.
If it wasn't so dark, we could take the camera and show it out
there.
When
we were here in May, we were here for
carrying the bags in.
For the longest time, I'm like, what? Is somebody having a sleepover at the courthouse tonight? How did I get invited to that? But everybody had the exact same suitcase.
Yep.
And there were two people always walking in.
Yep.
But so they were rolling in, and our highly technical, our sort of cutting edge technology that our county is.
We are strictly an
now
analog voting system.
We had the paper ballot and fill in the oval with a pen technology in my precinct, and I also, when I was walking into the place to vote,
was that new for you this time?
I don't remember
because
it's been pokey things. All the time.
I've been in Valpo since 2012, and every vote that I've done here has been on that. But I'm just over here now in the same area you are.
Yeah.
Before that, I was on the other side of town before I moved to the house.
I haven't moved in 20 years, and I've voted in a couple of different spots, but we've had several different
back and forth
machines. Well, the one was like a stylus poking little holes, the old hanging
chat issue. Sure.
So obviously that one,
that.
They had experimented with some technology, actual touch screen things, but that didn't stick around. So we went all the way back to ballots with pens.
The nice thing about the ballot with pens is they do have the scanners that scan it in, so hopefully it tallies it faster rather than having to have somebody sit around and.
I always have those flashbacks to the achievement tests in elementary school, and there's always little tricks you could play. That was like the number 2 leaded pencil,
right?
Which I guess we did that for the bar too. We had to do the number 2 pencil for the MBE portion of the bar as well. So it's not like that's that far from our past history. But anyway, so one of the things that's happening in Porter County tonight, and as we were talking about trying to find out if there's any results out
for the local elections.
The challenge is going to be that one of the things we want to talk about was there was an issue with about a dozen polling places today, and it's funny how
I didn't hear about this till just recently, so I don't know anything.
So thanks to the Twitter machine,
I
was someplace and I saw this pop up. And actually, I'll give credit to the Times of Northwest Indiana. They were covering it. I'm not sure who their reporter is. Maybe it's a team reporting process. But Bob Casarda and Sarah Reese, they're the. I know Bob does a lot of the court and public stuff. Politics stuff. But it's always sad to me, actually, in one regard, and nothing against. I got plenty of issues with our industry. But one of the things that they were ready with attorneys, just this quickly, both parties had attorneys ready to pounce.
I got to imagine they've had people preparing potential stuff and getting things ready to go. They probably have a whole on their computer. They probably got a list of 25, 30 different documents for different things that are halfway put together, and they just have to have the bowls filled in.
So the thing that happened was there were several polling places that didn't open or were not ready to take votes at 6 a.m. Now, so polling starts at 6 a.m. and it's supposed to close in Indiana at 6 p.m. There are a couple of
7 p.m. on the rest of the county, of the state, but
it's 6:60. There's a couple of counties that have extended because of the size of populations, things of that nature.
I mean, our time zone. We're on a different time zone here, so it's 6 here,
6 our time, 6 the other
Eastern
time zone. So, so the polls have been closed in a lot of the state already for quite some time. Mm-hmm. But the reality in Porter County, and I was looking to see if there was any reporting about Lake County because let's be honest, Lake County is the one that always seems to be on the sort of troublesome side with when politics gets involved. But they identified 12 polling stations that opened as much as an hour and a half late.
Really?
And so people would, people
That's
do. I
significant.
worked polls when I was in college, and people would be there waiting at 6 o'clock in the morning to vote, and they would vote, and then they'd go about their merry way, whether it was to work or whatever else they might be doing. But it is a situation where they had to go to court, and Judge Bradford. Now you got to find a judge that's not up for election or for affirmation.
Right.
And you have to find a judge who's not politically tied to someone else running for office.
Right.
And so they found Judge Bradford, who met their criteria, and there's an election board who has to make a call to say, yeah, here's the problems that we've discovered, and then they submitted a petition or a request to the judge to allow the polling stations, because you're changing the law.
Right.
That's not just like random. Hey, let's close at 6 o'clock. It's in the law. And so now you need a judge to overcome that law. And so the Democrats were the one that were leaning on that. If we look at it in all honesty, we're talking about polling places in Portage, which is, if you look at the county voting over the course of the last few years, the northern portion of our county is more Democratic in numbers. And so the Democrats are trying to make sure that they're represented properly. So then the Republicans bring a challenge to the judge, saying he doesn't have the authority to extend time. So politics becomes political even more. And they did extend it. Now it's going to be random, and obviously people at this point, you either probably missed your window, or if you're watching this by chance live,
right.
You probably missed that window unless you're in one of these 12 areas around Portage. The other ones weren't. It wasn't every polling station staying open. It was just these identified
just a specific
places.
polling stations with it. That's
Correct.
interesting.
And most of them were in Portage. So Liberty Township, Portage Township.
How long were they supposed to stay open?
Township.
What were they saying?
7:30, 7:40, 7:15. It was really based on when they started first taking votes. Now, some of the problem was that they had poll workers not show up. I'll tell you, one of my big gripes about the whole polling process is it's antiquated. There's too many precincts. You just don't have the fervor people volunteering to be, and you have to have like 10 people at every polling station.
Right.
You got to have a Republican and a Democrat of this, and a Republican and a Democrat of that. I mean, there's like, what they've done is combine some precincts into one polling place, but you still have to have
the staff
for people on each of the things, and then you can have some general people. But you have judges, and you have inspectors, and you have all these different people. And I went to the right place, wrong precinct. And as I was walking in, I'm like, man, I hope they didn't move back to the bus barn. I voted down there at one point, but I voted at Northview. You voted at Northview. We're in the same precinct.
Yeah.
As I walked in the door, the lady said, "Oh, you're in precinct 6." So I went to the table at 6. I'm not there, so I go to 9.
Hey, I was at 9. She told me
so we're at 9.
Okay.
Something happened to my wife. She called me later. Hey, what precinct you were in? I'm like, we're in the same precinct. We're in the same house.
Right.
But she had the exact same situation. So again, it's there's a lot that goes into these things. So now you have to have by law certain people in each of these roles, and you have to have equal representation.
Well, and here's the other thing too: is you got to remember they've kept things open like this. Early voting has been going on at different locations. So you've got people that have been doing this they've got to be getting worn out anyway. And now you're going to go out and spread them thinner. Yeah, and I don't even know how the early voting. That's done at the county building, and but they still have to have certain. They got to have the people there, and the whole time. Early voting to me is kind of like what I saw Black Friday preview sales last weekend, right? So nothing is sacred anymore. We can't have just Black Friday. We can't have Election Day. It's both. So it's all over the place. But as I'm looking at the polling places that were open, they're all Portage Township, Liberty Township, Westchester. The majority of them are Portage Township, north part of the county. All 3 of those are north part of the county. Right. So I would think that the Democratic Party, it's interesting. It's certainly be interested in getting that watched carefully. Yeah, it's interesting to see. How big of a mess it's going to create, if anything. I think what happens is it's more of a problem. Okay, my phone just freaked out for some reason. Okay. Phone freakage. Yeah. Thank you, WTHR, for your website.
So we were trying to pull up some because Indianapolis.
It's looking.
I'm sorry, the central, the rest of the state's closed early. Indianapolis, Marion County actually stays open a little bit later, just because of the size.
Yeah.
But there's a big Senate race.
Huge.
Indiana is in the crosshairs of the nation because Joe Donnelly's seat was seen as a weak position in the Senate. So the Republicans have spent the numbers I'm hearing about what's been spent also breaks my heart.
It's amazing that
hundreds of millions of dollars.
Really, I mean, you just think about what could all that money that they spend for this could be used for, and what good it could do, and instead it gets spent on marketing.
And you're just trashing people, as we were talking earlier. I mean, everybody's saying stuff that's maybe slightly true. Some of it just flat not true, and it's not just the candidates.
Well, because they're all picking things that they can tweak a little bit and say, well, it means this.
Right.
Well, no, not necessarily.
Right.
And they're just bending the truth where they can to make the other person look bad.
But anybody who says anything about Social Security is being absolutely disingenuous, because that's not even on the table for conversation with anybody.
No, it's not an issue right now.
So to even why cloud the issue? Why not focus on real issues?
I think
plenty of real issues for people to talk about.
There are, but I think a lot of politicians, no matter which side you're on, they like to cloud the issue because it muddies the water and it makes it more likely that someone will vote their way.
Yeah, and I wonder anymore. No, I voted. It's the first time I voted in a number of elections, and which is probably why I was confused about where I was supposed to vote. but I didn't vote the full ballot. I certainly didn't vote straight, but I also didn't vote the whole ballot because there were just some people I didn't know.
Sure.
But there were some people I didn't want to vote for.
Right.
And so we were talking. I'm in one of those modes of vote the legislative. I want to term legislature is over.
Right.
But there was a few spots where I think we were both surprised there were unchallenged positions.
It boggles my mind that the other party doesn't say, hey, we need to fill this spot. We need to find somebody to run for this spot.
And they have a fast track to do that. You can skip the primary and then just put somebody in.
Absolutely.
To not even bother, it's
lazy.
Right.
But it also just, I mean, obviously the party doesn't value that position then, but it's like, man, why wouldn't you run somebody?
Yeah, and it's one of the reasons, it's one of the things that sort of, I have become very apolitical in terms of party affiliation. And it's one of the things that disappoints me about that two-party system is that it's so locked down that there's not room for another person to, to come in. Now, I did notice.
I don't like that they even put vote straight ticket as an option on the ballot.
I don't even understand that anymore.
Leave it off there. Make people fill them all in for each person.
I remember when I first started voting, it was in the old voting machine days. Mm-hmm. Like you had to flip switches, and then there was the big
lever.
And they had one switch for like vote. And at the time, when that's even before you vote. Like you get introduced to those giant machines. I wonder where those go. Where do they store those behemoths?
I gotta imagine they get torn apart.
But so you had that going on, but that's how I actually voted when I turned 18. It was on one of those machines. But I remember the straight party ticket. I probably did maybe once or twice, but now and I think maybe the default is I don't know enough about the candidates, so maybe I'll just vote my party. But now I take it, like I said, there were people I didn't vote for and I didn't know the other party enough. The other person.
It's not like a test. You don't have to fill in every vote.
No, exactly. And I think I looked through it. We had a judge that was being held up for two, actually, the Supreme and the appellate court. The judges were being up for
retention, I guess.
Retention. We had a local judge up for retention. We have a judgeship that's a competitive vote. We've been talking because one of the things that we were talking around the office is the bar. Mm-hmm. And this was surprising to people when I was talking to them. Every county has its own bar, which is the sort of lawyer association for that county. There's a state bar. There's a national bar.
National, I think.
But they had the members of the Porter County Bar, which again doesn't represent every attorney even in Porter County.
They do not.
And in fact, some people who don't even live in Porter County, but maybe are members of the bar and live in other counties. But they were given kind of a short.
Which I got to say, I'm shocked that the bar even did this.
Yeah,
I
didn't do it. I didn't participate in it.
No, I'm not a member of the bar, not the Porter County Bar, so I couldn't do it.
It seemed very strange to me that you would be asking attorneys to rate other attorneys, and the options were, and so what the races they put it on were the prosecutor, two attorneys running for office. One that's the current prosecutor, and one that was a past prosecutor way long ago in his history. But you were asked to strongly approve the person as a candidate, approve the person as a candidate, disapprove or strongly disapprove, and it wasn't like I'm voting this way or that way. It was just these percentages, and they did that for the prosecutor's race and the contested judge race, and it was very uncomfortable for me. Yeah, I didn't participate, but even looking at the results, it was like, hey, they put the results out on Friday, and then the newspaper runs a big article about it.
Exactly. I mean, it's just that's not. It seems like they shouldn't be involved in that.
No,
stay out of it. That's not our job.
I know there's a lot of attorneys that run for office, but normally they're not running as an attorney. I'm running for state rep, and I happen to be an attorney where somebody else might be a teacher, somebody else might be, a business owner of some other type. But to like have the attorney stand up and make a statement about other attorneys documented publicly was very uncomfortable for me. And I had a long conversation with my wife about it, and her logic was, well, when you're talking about attorneys and roles of attorneys, judges or attorneys, maybe it's helpful for the community to know what other people think. I just don't know if that's where you're going to go with that sort of rating system. How are you going to vote? Maybe.
Right.
Because people do endorse candidates.
Sure.
But this was almost like a fake endorsement, and it was more of a judgment.
It's kind of like an exit poll.
Yeah. but I just don't know what the long-term ramifications are.
I think that you're the part of the problem, and I don't even like it, even if it's used as saying, hey, we'll get the rest of the community to see. When you deal with other attorneys on an ongoing basis over years, sometimes some people you get along fine and things go well. Other times, sometimes you rub the wrong way with somebody. But when a lot of these people that voted on this probably had been around for years and years. I mean, it's not all new attorneys. These are people that might have grudges from 20 years ago, and they're bringing it into this thing. I just don't know that that's the right place to do that.
Yeah,
especially when the results look so. You're only talking about like 72 people. 72 people in the entire county.
And I don't even know how many members there are in the bar. So what percentage of the bar was that?
They didn't list any of that. They didn't say. They did say there was only 72 people. It seemed like it was a little bit very decisive for what it ended up saying. I mean, but it was just, I get that. I'm the same way. I guess uncomfortable is probably a good word for it.
Yeah.
Uneasy, something like that.
Absolutely.
It's just like something that just didn't feel right.
Yeah, it was. I don't remember. So I've been, as we talk about in general, our law firm celebrated its second anniversary a couple weeks ago.
Yes, we did.
So I've been practicing for a couple of years. I was a member of the bar at that time, but I don't remember. Well, the prosecutor didn't run. How long? The prosecutor's a 4-year position, right? So this would have been the first time the prosecutor's position was up since I've been a lawyer or a member of the bar.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
No, I swear he ran last time. I thought
he may have run, but I wasn't an attorney, so I wouldn't have been a member of the bar.
Right.
So I would have missed that whole survey because I was like, I don't remember.
I don't know if I don't recall. Maybe it's something they do every time, and we're just too new to know. I don't know.
It could. I'm
and
sure
I never saw it. Like I said, I'm not a member of the Porter County Bar.
Right.
I didn't saw that. But
so, which again,
I've tried several times. I just don't know. I just don't know where to go to become a member of the Porter County
Bar is an interesting animal. But yeah, I think that's the whole endorsement thing. I mean, you have newspapers that endorse people. You have other organizations that endorse people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. You'll hear people. There's been a lot of pushback about actors or actresses getting involved.
Right,
or not getting involved. There were some that were getting kind of beat up for not making a position. I remember the
taking a
Taylor Swift thing earlier. This one, like, oh, you're not taking a political stance on something. Why does anybody care? First of all,
right?
Or why should they care? I think you're overemphasizing someone's position of authority. It's not.
But why listen to that person that's not their job to understand?
Right.
I'd be like,
why put that person in that spot?
I mean, you might as well go down to anywhere. Go to the person at your grocery store and say, what should I vote for?
Yeah.
I mean, you never know.
Yeah. So I think that's.
I would say, I'm just going to say, just interjection here. I'm just looking here, and this the Senate race here in Indiana is very interesting. Braun is in the lead over Donnelly at the moment, 299,022 to 203,802.
We were talking before we.
Now we got a lot of votes left to come in.
Yeah,
only 20%.
The Northwest Indiana region is going to be a big Donnelly
Lake County be a big
target.
Yep.
And St. Joe, which I think you showed, he's already won,
Yep.
and Marion County. Those are going to be pockets of great weight, but from a Braun standpoint, he's hoping to see just tremendous numbers in his favor in the other places, and to close the gap in others. So I honestly didn't see a lot of Braun up here.
I'm looking at this here. This is on WTHR.com.
TV station out of Indianapolis.
Yeah, and so it looks like they're coloring up the counties.
Yeah. Oh, so they've actually got.
So I'm thinking like Marion and Lake are on there.
Right.
St. Joseph isn't yet though.
No, I haven't called St. Joseph yet.
Elkhart and all of whatever that mess is over there.
Yeah.
Is that all county? Is there actually an all county? Is that what's
Allen
called?
County.
Allen County.
Allen
Okay.
County.
They just couldn't
Fort
fit it
Wayne
in the circle.
That's would be another one. Fort Wayne would be.
So that's So I mean, we've got some coming in, but I mean, I've been seeing a lot of these exterior counties are going to go Braun,
and that's going to put Indiana on the national front. I mean, you're going to every news
network
you're going to watch on the national level is going to be talking about Indiana.
The entire focus right now for Democrats is to take some of these seats,
Right.
and to lose a seat in the
Right.
process is a huge hit.
Yeah.
So it is going to be. They're going to be talking about it all over, especially if Ron continues to lead like this.
Yeah.
So now they're saying 301, 949 to 204.
That was a
Someone
big
else
jump. Something just came in.
for Braun too.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, he just tripped. Yeah, that was a big one.
Bumped up like 5,000, but yeah.
Yeah. So we this I think part and parcel to kind of what's happened over the course of last year. This is going to be it's going to be a long night probably.
Yeah. Probably.
As we look at some of the congressional races and Senate races.
Tomorrow you can get back to talking to your friends on Facebook.
Maybe.
Well, a couple days anyway. Give it a week.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know if anything's actually going to settle after this. That's my great concern. But
it always dies down a little bit. People get back to sanity and realize that the politicians are doing their thing and we're going to do ours. That kind of thing.
Yeah, I guess when I saw that come up in Twitter and I read it on the Times earlier today, I guess I wasn't surprised, but maybe slightly disappointed about how quickly everybody was ready to just go for a lawsuit.
I mean, I think especially ever since 2000 election, I think that all the parties get their attorneys lined up. And
Yeah, you talk about it.
really get
remember
things
back.
prepared.
They brought teams of attorneys.
Oh
in.
my goodness!
They're trying to jam some up in the Supreme Court.
That went
crazy.
all over the place. But
what's funny is, let's say that we had an emergency situation. It would take us at least a couple of days to get in front of a judge. It is
that
something
just
where
goes to the financial
Bradford had to
clouds.
clear the docket to take on a case. It's not a matter of somebody going, hey, Judge Bradford, can you take a phone call?
Yeah,
you still got to make
they don't just file it like we file it.
Right. Yeah.
It's not, hey, I'm going to electronically file this.
Wait for the clerks to file it and then do all this. I mean, there is some fast track procedure.
There is a direct
would have actually been interesting to go watch had I known it was happening. I'll have to keep an eye on maybe for another controversial election, which will probably be the next one.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's.
I guess I heard something that that Trump's already planning to run again, and filed that he's going to be.
Oh yeah,
I think I heard that today. I don't know, but that's the case. I mean, that's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I think. I think that's it. This really does set. I mean, really, already you're setting up the 2020 elections for everybody at this point.
Everybody's kind of talking that this election is really more a referendum on what people think of what Trump's results have been at this point. That's what they're saying. That's what
I
think
there's a combination though for the first time of where some of the people I heard interviewed today were using an excuse of, well, I like what he's done, but I don't like the way he's done it, or I don't like what he said. And so it's almost like a referendum on his
it just depends
actions, but it's also a referendum on him
personality and his actions. Yeah, because let's face it, he's
a little rough around
unique.
the edges. He's not
he's a lot rough around the edges.
Yeah.
And I will say that the last week or so, he has really pulled himself together to be. The last couple of days, There was a speech he did yesterday, I believe, that was apparently fantastic. I didn't see it all. I saw some little bits, but apparently, I mean, like he was as presidential as anybody could ever hope for him to be. Which starkly contrasts between his Twitter account.
Yeah, that's the thing. He'll go blow it.
But I think that's again. You know, we were talking about having genuine conversations and being honest about it, and you know, there have been some good things.
Yeah,
the results have been fairly okay.
Yeah, I mean, there was some crazy news that came out. I mean, like what the most people employed, lowest unemployment, the click on things. I mean, they're not. I think again, it's pockety. There's still people that are not doing great, but I think. When those numbers are at places where they haven't been in a long time, if ever, I mean, you have to.
I mean, it depends on who you talk to. I think Obama said the other day that it was his fault.
He took credit for it.
Yeah, but I didn't get to see that really either. So,
yeah, he was in Gary on Sunday before he went over to Chicago, and that was what
big
came out of
the
Gary
stuff
was
for not only over there.
This was all just a result of his stuff finally kicking in. So
yeah,
everybody can take credit wherever you can make statistics.
That's the interesting thing about politicians is it's the problems are always somebody else's fault, and the good things are always your fault.
You see how the market reacts because it's been on a good run up. We'll see what.
The market's pulled back over October was terrible. Worst month in a long time at the market, and so the last week it's been running up a little bit. So it'll be interesting to see where that goes with the elections, depending on how it turns out. I mean, I think you'll see.
You're going to see an overreaction one way or another.
I think
tomorrow you're going to see an overreaction one way or another.
Regardless,
before the end of the day, it might correct itself. Who knows?
So we'd
be remiss if we didn't just take a couple of minutes.
Before we go.
We had a great Friday.
I will tell you what.
Accelerated Workshop 101.
Accelerated Entrepreneurship 101.
Accelerated Entrepreneurship.
And wow, was it cool.
Had a great time. We had a handful of folks that came out. It was our first effort. It was probably a good thing we had a smaller crowd because we learned a lot. We got a lot of good feedback. We're excited about doing this again.
Absolutely. And, you know, I think the way in which we learned that we need to we're all so full of information.
Yeah.
And want to give so much information that it ends up going long in certain spots and there's more information, not talking about Isaac or anything, but you know, there's a lot of information he likes to give out, not specifically, but he likes to talk about contracts and cool stuff and business stuff. But no, I think we've learned how to make it even more impactful for the next crowd.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited about where that's going to go. And we've got some changes.
We sort of had it in the proverbial can. That's what we'd say in the old video film days. Now we can look and we can say, this was a viable thing to do. Mm-hmm. This is what we can do better. But we were really able to evaluate the content and things that we put out. I tweeted a lot about it on Friday during the effort. But
lots
just
of good
sitting there
pictures
watching it, I just thought, wow, this is really cool. And a lot of people will do different seminars in different ways. But I think what we were very comfortable in our skin about was being not holding back. Yeah. Like being there and answering questions and not talking in vagaries, but like, oh, your business does this, and this is what you need to understand about how that applies. We had some great other non-attorney presenters. We had Randy Rains from Rains Insurance. We had Barbara Kane from Fuse. Matt Dooley, who lives up to his name. He's dual. He's an attorney. He's also a business coach as well. And I think we put a lot of good information out there. But I think what it wasn't theory. It wasn't the theory of something to think about.
Rubber meets the road.
This is rubber meets the road.
And
here's what you
actions.
need to know about this: taxes, bookkeeping, insurance. I mean, I will say one of of all the things, and this we're proving that we don't have ego in this. Probably the biggest thing I took away was Barbara's roadmap, talking about how businesses get stuck. They kind of skip things and they stop at this one spot and they get stuck there. So it's on her roadmap, it's 18 of 20 something. Yeah. But it was absolutely spot on and caught myself in the same thought. We spend a ton of time talking about marketing, thinking about marketing. I think we've done a good job of sort of building the foundation to get where we decide what marketing works and such. But then we camp on it too long. Right. And we've been very conscious about looking at the ROI on marketing. We've thrown a lot of stuff at the wall to see what fits, and we spend a lot of money trying to figure out what we do. But that's what every other business. I think that's the other reason we can stick to small businesses. We're living it. We're in that boat. We're 2 years into this thing. And we've gone through it all.
Absolutely. And I think that a lot of times I've been to a lot of seminars. I go to different types of things, and so often you go and you feel like the seminar you just paid to attend is really just you're paying to be upsold to the next thing.
True.
And I really felt one of the things I walked away from is I felt like there was no tomorrow in our meeting. It was strictly, this is what you're here for, and this is what you're getting. And it was tons of information just poured out, and it was all pertinent information. Like you said, it's all rubber meet the road. It's there, and we never even, actually, we probably need to work on that. We need to have some sort of, we need to sell a book, or we need to sell a next seminar. No.
I think what we did was we really put people in front. Like I will say, I had some comments from people who saw the tweets or watched.
I haven't seen that. I had to leave because my son was home alone, so I didn't get to see a lot of the
But one of the things that somebody pointed out to me was like Michelle Hamster taking pictures. Like headshots, professional headshots
for free.
For every person that was there, including ourselves.
Yeah.
And somebody said, you do not know how important that is until you're like, somebody says, oh, I need a headshot. And now you're going to just pull off something. I'm just going to do a quick photo with my camera. And it's just not going to work. And there's a great photo I have of her on her stool taking a picture of Nick.
Yeah, I saw that. That was a good one.
And
I think we posted that to Facebook.
Yeah, that was on Twitter.
Yeah.
It was on Facebook.
Yeah.
But somebody commented to me. She said she's never heard anybody even put that out there as an idea. Consider. And it goes to what we talked about. Like, let's really look at this from a foundational level. And we also realize that there's some stuff that we need to be doing on the front side of this even before we get to that meeting.
Well, and I think that's going to be the biggest adjustment to make it even more effective than what it already was. Is to take and make some slight tweaks to it, how we do it, do some upfront stuff a little more than we did this time, and really be able to hit that ground running on Friday morning and really get the full impact out of it.
Yeah. But so it was great.
Fantastic.
That made me sound like preaching to the choir or begging the question, but I sat there the whole time and enjoyed it.
Listen to it. It was fantastic.
I enjoyed it. I got stuff out of it. A friend of mine who attended, who's a little more advanced and not starting on square one. He's a little bit further down the road, but
he already had his businesses, and he was there for the other business information.
But he. Some of it was an affirmation for him, like, oh, okay, I did do these things right. Here's some things I probably need to tune up. Here's some things I didn't consider, or I need to think about going forward. And
which is exactly
we challenged everybody.
That's awesome.
At the end of the day was, what's your takeaway? What's your next step? What's the thing you're going to put on paper and do that you can do? Matt did a good job wrapping it up. What are the things you're going to accomplish in the next 30 days? What are the things that are 30 days out? Or 30 days plus. So again, super tangible activities. Applicable to wherever you were with your business. Just a great day. As we said to people, and now I can say it from experience that if you are a small business and you can't invest a day in this thing, or it wasn't a ton of money, but the money you had to put into it, then you really need to think about whether you should be going down the road of your business. The time and money spent is going to be minuscule in the bigger picture things. Plus, you made contact with people that
I would say
be able to take it forward.
One of the things that I really liked about it too is at one point I was standing there. It was just before I was going to be doing my part, and I actually delayed my part because I was sitting there watching, and the room I was just coming off a break, but the room had broken out into these little pockets of conversation. And I started listening to the conversations. And they were so intense and so meaningful, and like it just fully focused. And they were getting experience from other people, and well, what do you think about this? And how should I handle this? Not just with their business, but there were some people that were getting ready to do the business part time, and they had like another job. And how do I handle that? And what do we think? And there was conversations going on about that, and it was just awesome.
Yeah, it was really great.
I'm very excited about the next one because it's going to be even more impactful because of the tweaks we're going to make. We got a couple slight adjustments we're going to make, but I'm very excited to see where that's going to go even.
Well, and I think our hope from that, and I think it will work out on some level, is that people would make contacts with other small businesses that one of the scary things about being a small business is your universe gets small.
You can feel so alone.
And you can get totally cut off from the world. So having some additional people who are going through the same thing
Right.
and can relate to those things. Those are important contacts to be made. And in some cases, maybe it's someone that has a business that complements yours or serves yours or something like that.
Right.
So it was I really am excited about the fact that we got it in the books, and probably even more so the fact that we're going to make it better.
Yeah.
Going forward.
Yeah. It's really exciting. I'm pretty excited.
So anyway,
here's an update.
Oh yeah.
25% reporting.
Okay.
Mike Braun at 375, 241. Joe Donnelly at 265, 991.
Any counties flip there yet?
He is.
Any other counties roll out?
Elkhart changed. Elkhart was more towards Donnelly, but it's leaning over towards Braun now.
Huh.
So they must be getting different precincts within their reporting.
Yeah.
So, but it's interesting.
Yeah.
He's maintaining that 100,000 point lead right now, or 100,000 vote lead.
Yeah,
it's extended to 110 now.
It will be interesting to see how that shakes out. There's a couple of people locally.
I think there's still some reporting from Marion County. It's like St. Joseph's not on here. So I think the thing that speaks to me is it's really going to be a close race, and this is going to be all over national news tonight.
Yeah, Secretary of State has actually a local guy running. Jim Harper is an attorney here in Porter County. Is running for. Oh, really?
Connie
Lawson's 400 incumbent there.
She's got 406,000 votes, and he's got 232.
Wow!
So it's fairly significant. Now, that being said,
the Porter County is
most of northwest Indiana has not been put in yet.
Yeah.
So we'll see where that goes. He might pick up some up here.
Yeah. But yeah, so Jim Harper's running there, and then actually his brother is running for township trustee here in Central.
I will say that the amendment to the Constitution of the state of Indiana to require the balanced budget is so far passing with flying colors.
Okay.
340,000 to 126,000.
Didn't even hear a thing about that.
Never even knew it's on there till today.
Yeah. And I'm reading it. I'm thinking there's got to be
some
other things to this.
The way they wrote it this way.
Yeah.
The way they wrote the question on the thing is like, I'm not sure it's that cut and dry.
No.
There's got to be something in there that's sketchy. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe that's our just natural lawyer questioning things. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess I was just shocked that I hadn't heard a thing about a constitutional amendment coming out. And the last one I remember that made huge was like you knew about it for months before it was voted on was the 1-2-3 tax provisioning, where it capped tax rates at 1% for residential, 2% for ag and ag and business. Was it ag and rental, and then 3% for commercial. And so that that caused a huge ripple for still to this day for counties trying to figure out how to make things work. Yeah. So because suddenly they just couldn't jack up a rate to make up their budget. So and I think that's also when they required school projects over a certain amount to be a referendum in the primary. So
interesting.
But yeah, so this one just popping up. I'm like, I thought it was part of the instructions.
Yeah,
and I looked at it and said, oh wait, there's an oval there. What am I doing?
Yeah,
there?
I hadn't seen that one, but it seems to be passing. So
okay. Well, good, super. Well, thanks for joining us, and hopefully you found it a little bit informative as we go through this election night. We're not going to stay live and cover the election results.
No, I need to go home. It's been a long day.
So
good day, but long day.
If you have questions, you can always reach out to us at ccskallaw.com. There's a form there you can fill out. You can give us a call.
Isaac's on assignment tonight.
Oh, Isaac.
Since you didn't see him, he's on assignment of helping a friend move.
Yeah,
so.
a real assignment.
More power to him.
But 230-3600. This number you can reach our office.
CCSKLaw.com.
Yep, CCSKLaw.com.
Check us out.
And that's Kurt. I'm RG. We appreciate joining us for Tips in the Bar. Have a great evening. I got to figure out where I'm at to be able to end this.
I don't know. You got too many different windows open.
There we go.